All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Nashua Zoning Board of Adjustment, July 25th, 2023. My name is Rob Shaw. I'm the Vice Chair of the Zoning Board, and I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. We have what looks to be a very small agenda now. We have, let's see, I believe we have one case that was previously postponed from the July 11th meeting, which we do expect to hear. We have another case which, and I'm just doing this kind of housekeeping up front. We don't normally get into this until later. But then the second and third cases on our agenda, the 6 Bradford Street and the 280 Amherst Street, both those cases have been requested for postponement until August 8th, which is our next scheduled meeting 2 weeks from now. It's 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So I'll go through a little bit of housekeeping. And that actually, usually I ask the question later in the introduction about are there any changes to the agenda, but those are the two primary changes, and I think there'll be some discussion about the first case as well, but I'll still do the introductory remarks. The Zoning Board, we follow the New Hampshire RSAs as well as the City of Nashua Land Use Code for determining when relief is being sought from the standard rules governing land use code in the city. We typically hear variances and special exceptions. There are a couple other things we sometimes much more rarely deal with, but tonight there's a variance case that is in front of us. I'll just speak a little bit about that. The variances require that that the applicant meet 5 different criteria, and the method which we go through this is the application has already been made to the city requesting some relief in the form of a variance from the land use code, and that material has been presented to us in written format, and then here in the meeting we allow for public testimony. We structure each case so there's 15 minutes, up to 15 minutes by the applicant regarding what they're trying to do for their case, and then there is we seek out any other interested parties for if they are in support, and they have up to 5 minutes to testify regarding the case. And then after that, we will see if anybody has questions, concerns, or opposition. Each of those individuals will have up to 5 minutes to present what their concerns are. If there are those concerns expressed, the applicant has a 5-minute rebuttal period, and then following that, one of the and only one of the parties that had concerns or opposition can then do a final up to 5-minute rebuttal. We typically have 5 members hearing a case, but the requirement by the Nashua ordinance is that as long as we have 3 members present of the zoning board, that is the minimum for our quorum, and we will proceed with cases. Tonight we do have, I believe, 5 members in total available to us. We have 3 full-time members, including 1 member on Zoom, and then 2 of our alternate members here as well. So, and I'll introduce everybody in a moment also. In this case, we have everybody participating in both the discussion and the voting. When we have more than 5 present, we will have the members participate fully other than in the voting, and we designate who votes beyond the full-time members if there's not a sufficient number of full-time members present. Let's see. Yeah, so I'll introduce who is present here. Myself, Rob Shaw, again, I'm the Vice Chair of the Zoning Board. Mr. J.B. Boucher, who is our clerk. Our other full-time member is Mr. Jack Currier, who is on Zoom, and then we have alternate members, Mr. Jay Mankara and Mr. Josh Neely, that are with us here as well. And staff-wise, we have Mr. Carter Falk, Deputy Planning Manager with the city, and Kate Poirier, our Planning Department Zoning Coordinator. So we welcome them as well. I will take attendance now. Mr. Boucher?
Mr. Boucher is present.
Actually, for Mr. Currier, and that's a normal requirement, I know you are on Zoom, so if you could also state that if anybody is with you and the reason why you are attending via Zoom. So, Mr. Currier?
I'm Mr. Currier, Jack Currier. I'm attending on Zoom tonight because I'm not in the Nashua area due to a pre-arranged trip this week, and there's no one in the room with me.
All right, thank you. Mr. McCara?
Present.
And Mr. Neely?
Present.
So we have 5 members present. I think that probably covers all the key introductory material. If there's any other questions that come up as we proceed, we can cover that as well. I will go ahead and start by reading the first case and the only case into the record, and then we'll go from there. The owners are Carmen Capone and David DeBlois at 75 Manchester Street, LLC. The applicant is 75 Manchester Street, LLC. The address, again, is 75 Manchester Street, sheet 65, lot 106. The request is for a variance from Land Use Code Section 190-16, Table 16-3 for minimum lot width. 75 feet is required, 52 feet proposed to subdivide one lot into 2 lots, each connecting a single-family home. This is in the RA zone, Ward 3, and it was postponed again from the July 11th, 2023 meeting. Is there somebody here to present this case? And you know the drill. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, good evening. My name is Andy Perlman, attorney with Peroni and Perlman here on behalf of the property owners and the applicant 75 Manchester Street, LLC. Mr. Vice Chair and members, I'm simply here to seek a 2-week continuance of this case. Typically, I would do that by letter or an email, but we've already continued this once, and I don't like continuously continuing a case. It's not fair to the board. It's not fair to the neighbors. So I just wanted to take a moment to explain what we're doing and why the continuance is being requested, and that we'll be ready for next time on August 8th. You folks know this site, 75 Manchester Street. We've all been by it 100 times. We're right at the bend at Manchester Street, just before Greeley Park. And so we have 2 things going on. The first is getting our engineers to sync up with the plan. And when I say engineers, which is a little unusual for zoning, we have a project engineer, Hayner Swanson, and we have a traffic engineer looking at site distance issues, Vanessa and Associates. And those 2 engineers have not finalized their plans yet. They're working together, but like all civil engineers these days, everyone's just super busy, and schedules have not lined up to get the plans done. We expect those plans to be done hopefully by the end of this week. So that's the first piece of the puzzle. The second piece of the puzzle is we then take those plans and sit down with the city engineering department, and particularly Wayne Husband, the traffic engineer, to get their input, to get their comments. And then with that, we come back to this board with really a full application ready to go. I've explained this very briefly to the neighbors, and I'm happy to sit with the neighbors after this, but we're simply seeking a 2-week continuance of tonight's hearing.
All right. Does the board have any questions? All right. I think we should go ahead and just officially do a motion then to table the case till August 8th.
Mr. Shaw, can you hear me? This is Mr. Currier.
Yes. Sorry.
I was just curious how many folks might be in the audience there for this case. I'm just curious on that. I can't see from Zoom.
It looks like 5, I believe. Yeah, 5.
5.
And 1 person on Zoom? 1 on Zoom and 5 in the room.
That's correct. Okay, thank you for that.
Just for discussion purposes, not necessarily a question, I wonder if we might think about continuing this to the second meeting in August. There seems to be a lot of work that needs to be done. We've continued it twice, and I would hate to see us back in 2 weeks continuing it for another 2 weeks. So I wonder if the applicant would consider tabling it to the second meeting in August.
That's fine. Yeah, that makes some sense.
Probably a good point, just in
Yeah.
case things, with those challenges you just spoke about, perhaps if things don't go still quite according to plan, it would probably be better for everybody if we did that.
I know, but then I don't have that, I can't crack that whip now. They can have a month, you're going to put it off.
Don't tell them.
No, that's perfectly fine, thank you.
Okay, so that would be the August 22nd meeting then. Okay. Any other discussion from the board? Otherwise, would somebody offer a motion just so we officially table this?
I'd make the motion to continue this until the August 22nd meeting.
Okay. Second, Mr. Neely, thank you. And Mr. Boucher, how do you vote?
Mr. Boucher votes in favor.
Mr. McCara, how do you vote?
Mr. McCarr votes in favor.
Mr. Neely?
Mr. Neely votes in favor.
And Mr. Currier, how do you vote?
Mr. Courier votes in favor.
And Mr. Shaw votes in favor, so that is unanimous. So we will
Okay.
plan for you to return on August 22nd. And thank you for taking the time to come and let us know.
Sure.
And I realize it's not an ideal situation probably for you and the applicant, nor for the concerned neighbors, but it seems like the best way to go forward. So that-
Well, thank you all. Have a good
so we
night.
have
I'm going
the
to
right
talk to the neighbors now, so, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you.
May I ask a question to the planning board?
If it's a procedural question, I think we can take that, but
It actually is, I'm sorry.
hang on a second. Go ahead and come up to the mic, state your name and address, because we do want to at least have that on the record. But if it's anything probably specific about the case.
No, it's more about a
Procedure.
process. So
Sure.
my name is Stephanie Dion, 17 Monadnock Street, Nashua,
All
New
right.
Hampshire. So I'm fairly new to Nashua from Massachusetts. I work with Fidelity Investments, and they transferred me up here. My question is, so that's fine that we have a continuance, but when they actually do come and the owners are here, are the neighbors going to have a chance to voice their opinion and ask questions and raise some concerns, or are we, because
Yeah,
there was a call made and the person said on the phone that the neighbors were not allowed to speak, that we were going to just come here and it was either going to pass or be declined.
No, as I spoke about how the structure of our meeting typically works, when we hear a case, the applicant presents, we seek any other supporting testimony, and then there's a chance for anybody that's got questions, concerns, or opposition to
Okay.
speak. So any of you that have any of those concerns would have the opportunity, up to 5 minutes each,
Okay.
to testify. So that opportunity will exist on August 22nd now. So
Okay.
definitely please plan on coming back. And by all counts, if this moves forward, since it's a subdivision, it'll also, I believe, have to go to the planning board for the site plan part of things. So there'll be another spot along the way as well where there's opportunity for testimony. But definitely, any concerns specific to the variance part of things, that opportunity would exist on the August 22nd.
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Sure.
And if I
Yeah.
could, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I could add, if you're unable to attend or you just want to supplement your testimony, you can also send in comments by email. You can send in a letter by regular mail as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And our staff is more than happy to help guide you in any questions or concerns in those regards, and they assist with those communications, because if those emails come in, they get them right back out to us so that we are aware ahead of time as well. So yeah, thank you for that. And Mr.
I
Boucher?
think maybe at this point, since the neighbor is new to the area, maybe just explain quickly, the 5 minutes is really to address the board.
Oh, yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
comes
thank
up,
you, thank you.
And
Right.
then there's an opportunity for the applicant to come back, and then they have one opportunity to come back.
Yeah, so the idea of, you don't really get to, quote, necessarily ask questions directly of the applicant, but you can raise your questions, you can raise your concerns. The response is the opportunity that the applicant has in their rebuttal period. Ideally, they should and typically do address the concerns and the questions that have been raised by those that had those. So, but there isn't an opportunity for like direct question and answer in that fashion. It's essentially all done through the board. But we try to make sure that as items are raised, I mean, the applicants don't have to respond in rebuttal, but they typically want to, because it's usually to help clarify or answer whatever questions or concerns have been raised. So, yeah, thank you for that. All right, I think we're good, and those of you that are interested, hopefully we see you back here in 4 weeks. Good night. So, that, we don't have any other cases before us. We do not have any rehearing requests. So I think the only other, we have our other kind of normal matters of business, which we do have a set of minutes from the July 11th session. That has everybody had a chance to look at those minutes, and any questions or corrections or anything that anybody's?
I guess just a question. Can you hear me, Mr. Shaw?
Yes, Mr. Curry.
It's not really a question, it's just a comment, but if we look on page 12 of those minutes, there was a fella who had a lot of testimony on 34 to 36 Palm Street, and I remember now when he spoke and gave his name, it was lost on me. It certainly wasn't like a Smith or a Patel, and it's just kind of a reminder to the board, and I'm just as guilty myself, that if there's somebody who's testifying, it's perfectly okay to kindly ask them to spell their name if it's, one that is not common. And so, but, we don't have the name here. I don't think there's any changes needed, just a comment that we, as a board, need to try to be as diligent to get their correct name spelled there.
Good point, thank you. Yeah. Would somebody like to offer a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the July 11th meeting minutes.
Okay, and seconded by Mr. Neely. Any discussion? Otherwise, I'll ask for votes. Mr. Courier, how do you vote?
Mr. Courier votes in favor of the motion to accept the minutes.
Mr. Neely, how do you vote?
Mr. Neely votes in favor.
Mr. McCara?
Mr. McCarr votes in favor.
And Mr. Boucher?
Mr. Boucher votes in favor.
And Mr. Shaw votes in favor. That's 5-0. Those minutes pass. And then we do have the next agenda for the August 8th meeting. We normally, the main part of this is that we just check it for whether or not there's any concerns about regional impact. I do not see any myself. Did anybody see anything of concern? Okay, so I'd say, Mr. Courier, just to make sure, you didn't see anything regarding this, did you?
That's correct. I did
Okay.
not see any regional impact
Okay,
on the
so-
agenda for the August 8th meeting.
Thank you. So the board is unanimous and no concerns about regional impact. And I think that is all we have for tonight. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McCara. And we are adjourned at 6:48. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Way to speed through it there, Rob.
Recording stopped.
Have a good night, too.
All right.